We are Tailgate Talk. Welcome to the show. I'm Matt Thomas. With me, we've got Kyle Schumann and Trent Williams. Kyle Mulwiney is bunkered down, trying to avoid the manhunt that's taking place in Eastern Pennsylvania right now. He's very scared, so thoughts and prayers go out to him. But guys, how are we doing this week?
Good.
Yeah.
We got tailgate talk on location this week.
Yes, we will have Tailgate Talk on location, just like the orange and blue last year, except now it's Tailgate Talk going to Illinois.
Should be fun. I'm excited. Away games are always fun. Switch it up. Get to
Yeah.
see some new teams, new tradition, new stadiums.
Yeah, this one's got a little bit less of a vibe now, but we'll get to that. But should
Trent, does
hopefully
does Champagne run out of beer like Auburn did this weekend, you think?
Yeah, I don't think there'll be as many Penn State fans in Champaign as there was down on the plains, but I think there will be a lot.
we'll see. It's gonna be interesting. It'll be a pretty good test to see the flights going out of Harrisburg this weekend. How many you'll know by the size of the planes how many Penn State fans are making their way. But before we get to that, let's talk a little bit about what was a game last week. Penn
Yeah.
State 63, Delaware 7. I mean, I don't think there's too much analysis to offer here, but what are your initial impressions?
We did what we needed to do. Offense, honestly, couldn't ask for much more. I mean, we pretty much scored on our first 4 drives, right? Our first
We
3 drives.
Yeah.
I think we
Uh,
scored on our first 4 drives, punt it until we punted. But either way, offense was really just not. They couldn't be stopped. They just moved the ball effortlessly. There wasn't many huge breakaway plays or anything. It was just little pickups here and there, perfect drives right down the field, time after time after time. You'd expect that. We played an FCS opponent. We played Delaware. But offensively, I don't think you could ask for much more. Defensively, it's a tough game because we can't sit here and pick at things when we gave up 1 touchdown on a busted breakaway play. But I don't, just still not quite as sharp as the offense has looked. Again, it sounds odd saying that when we beat a team 63-7, but there's just signs in the game that tell you like the defense still has a little ways to go.
Let's put a pin in the defense discussion for a second. Let's go back to the offense. So they scored on every single possession but 3, and one of them was the end of the game. So really only 2 possessions they didn't score. And the thing that stands out is you've got a touchdown drive of 52 seconds, but then the next shortest scoring drive was 2 minutes and 17 seconds. There are 1, 2, 3 of them over 4 minutes. There's 3 of them over 5 minutes. Whereas West Virginia, it was like quick strike, get the ball down the field and score. It was methodical. So you saw the offense do it in both ways.
Yeah, I thought there's a good mixture of play calling. Again, like I feel like it's a good game where we can just test our different formations, and I feel like it was just good. Like, I hate to say it's a good practice game, but it really was. Like, it's just good different formations, different players getting in, seeing what you got depth wise. I thought all of that was a good team win. I felt bad saying like my Coco Sportsbook line at 30 at 32.5, but then I realized that like the actual line came out at like 44, and then they won by what, 56. So whatever.
Just threw a lot of numbers at me right there. But
It was a blowout win.
yeah.
So
Running backs back on track. You have Katron Allen going over 100 yards, 103 on the day, 1 score, and then you have Nick Singleton with 3 touchdowns, 47 yards. Poor Katron. Katron was just out there balling, and he didn't even got most of the scores. So I heard that Katron was like visibly upset after that QB sneak where he could have got the score. Did anybody else see that? I missed that, like in the game.
No, I did not catch that.
Yeah, apparently he was. Also, so are we buying any of the smoke about maybe Katron not being fully happy with things? Like, You got to admit it was little coincidental that Franklin just mentions him out of the blue last week and how good he's doing, and then he's in the starting lineup, and then he gets 7 or 19 touches, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it was strange, but there's no. I mean, it's all just rumor mill.
Yeah,
That's the thing. No
that's
one.
what we do here. That's what we do here.
Yeah.
I know, but no one knows what's happening inside the locker room. Is it a Katron thing? Is it a Singleton thing? Or is it nothing? And we're just, we have two really solid backs and we're just trying to keep them both happy.
Or because it was a 63-7 game. We have nothing else to talk about. It's just something to make a narrative at the end of the game, just to talk about something.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean,
don't go tinfoil hat on all of us. Come on.
but that's the thing with the, if you're going to have two insanely good backs sharing time, it's just going to happen. Same with the tight end room. They share the field almost every time they're out there. It feels like you just have really solid positions, depth in those positions. You're going to share. I mean, if there's two options nowadays, it's transfer or pull away if you want that primary role. I don't think either of those two are pulling away anytime soon. So honestly, I think it's just something that is being blown out of proportion. I think really they're both happy with it.
It was interesting that you didn't see any of the freshman running backs either. So they're just pretty much relying on those two and Trey Potts then in cleanup duty, and of course Tank. I had no idea that Tank Smith was still on the team. Like I saw in like the preview guide or something on Saturday morning, and I was like, wait, there's no way that I feel like he's been on the team since like 2012.
Yeah.
Like, the dude's got like his like master's equivalent in like rocket science with a PhD attached. Like, what the hell is going on with that?
I think he does make the all PSU name team. I think that's a great name.
Makes the all PSU gut team because he got a tank. He is a tank. But okay. So is Drew Aller the best quarterback in the Big Ten?
Through 2 games, yeah.
No,
Yeah,
definitely. 100%.
I mean, McCarthy's got some numbers. Like JJ McCarthy hasn't been terrible, but
I'm not saying we played anyone great, but West Virginia is not. West Virginia is not near as bad as some of the teams the others have played.
no, I mean, Michigan hasn't really like UNLV and Carolina, Eastern Carolina, Eastern Carolina. Like
One of
they
them.
haven't, but yeah, a Carolina. They've blown them out, but it just hasn't been impressive. Like honestly, there is a case to make that we are the most impressive team in the Big Ten so far this season, I think.
Yeah, through 2 games, I think we are. That means nothing, obviously. But yeah, I mean, if you really just want to look at the first 2 games and take all bias from expectations and performance out of play, then yeah, I would agree with that. But at the same time, we all know that these 2 games have meant nothing in terms of what a team's going to look like.
I think it's good to know that I think we have been the most impressive team, but also we still have stuff to clean up. It's not like we've been like all gas, no brakes, both 2 games. There's still stuff that we can clean up. But at the same time, even like Ohio State, Michigan, yeah, they had their struggles like each of their first 2 games, but the Big Ten West, man, holy crap, there is no good team in that division. I thought maybe it was gonna be Wisconsin. I know Matt said that Wisconsin could beat Ohio State, and they looked like crap against Washington State.
They still might. We'll see.
They can. There's no good team in that division.
Nah, I don't see it happening. They did not look good.
Iowa. But so like getting back to the Aller thing, like what stood out to me from the post game is Franklin basically came out and like he didn't say the exact words, but he more or less said that Aller is living up to his hype, which is interesting because like being a head football coach is like being a politician, right? Like you're not going to say something that you know is going to blow back in your face, like if it goes horribly wrong. So the fact that he's willing to basically come out and say that, like, I think it's very telling. Obviously, we've seen it, but I think it just goes to what they have said over and over and over again, that this is the stuff that we've seen practice in and practice out for 2 years now.
Yeah.
Which is encouraging, like very encouraging.
Yeah.
But
I agree. I mean, we can't ask for much more from Drew these first 2 games. This next one will be his first test on the road. Makes a difference.
Yeah. Maybe not so much of a test in what he'll see,
Yeah.
but
anything else from that Delaware game? Do we want to touch on the linebackers? And
I do.
Yeah.
One thing. For the linebackers, the one positive thing, Dom DeLuca, the muscle hamster. That's my guy. Taking the pick 6 back.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Special teams hero. I mean,
were you still in the stadium at that point? I don't remember.
Yeah, we were still at the stadium.
Were you? Okay.
Yeah,
you guys left early, as you're apt to do.
Well,
but
schedule an FCS opponent, and that's what happens.
I wanted to see it all, and I saw it all. But yeah, that was a nice play. That was, I mean, I think any one of us could have picked that ball off and taken it back to the house, but
he literally
it was a nice play.
It's like he was a wide receiver, the QB just hit him right in the chest.
Hit him in stride. It was nice, but yeah, linebackers are something. Middle linebackers specifically, and we gotta call out our scoop boy, probably Tyler Ellison. I think he's getting a lot of. I mean, that play was not good, but
yeah, I mean, it's one play for sure that's definitely, I mean, sticking out and really causing the mass hysteria. But no, I mean, he hasn't been good. I don't think any of our linebackers have been outstanding. Even Abdul Carter has just been meh. Again,
Jacobs has been I mean,
yeah, I mean, the tackling from them hasn't been spectacular. Their filling gaps has not been great. Their angles to the ball have not been great. We've gotten by because of lesser opponents, but I think that's the area we need to take a big step to really be this big playoff contending team that we want to be.
Yep. Especially because like they move around so much on defense and they do so much gap switching and everything. Where the linebackers need to be in position, and Elton wasn't on that play and couldn't get in position, and that was that. But yeah, I agree. So looking at the stats, so Carter led the team with 4 tackles on Saturday. I mean, granted, it was Delaware. There's like 50 guys that played, but leads the team with 4 tackles. Curtis Jacobs had 0, like barely even showed up in the stat line. DeLuca had the interception, but that was it. Like, that ain't great from your starting linebackers, But Kobe King, sorry, because DeLuca is not a starting linebacker. Kobe King, I don't even see him in the stat line. So it is a cause for concern. But
yeah. Are you surprised? Are you surprised we haven't been given younger guys at that position more of an opportunity early on here?
Yeah, I mean, you would think because they would be trying to break, because they're doing it in the secondary a lot. Like King Mack played a lot, Elliot Washington played a lot. Like you would think, especially how much you've heard about Tony Rojas and what he could be this year. Like you would think that he would have gotten some time, a little more time than he did. But yeah, I'm a little surprised by that.
I was just gonna ask, did Rojas get any meaningful snaps the first 2 games? Like I mean, like when the game wasn't out of reach yet. Like obviously he got playing time, just
no.
Special
teams,
I don't think so. I mean, well, the Delaware game was out of reach really quickly, so that was a really short period of time we're talking. West Virginia, you're pretty much looking at the first half, and I don't really think so.
No. Yeah, I mean, he had some nice plays on Saturday.
Yeah,
he had the one where he got in the backfield real quick and everything. But
no, I mean, again, we're being really, really nitpicky. It's just the one unit that has sort of stood out. I think they're not atrocious. We're just, when everyone else is looking pretty solid, especially offensively, we're looking really good. Yeah, it just you need something to complain about. You can never be satisfied. And that's just the position where it is. And I think part of that is expectations. We thought it was going to be a very experienced group coming back, and that would show on the field. But it's
Well,
two games. I'm not going to put a ton of stress into it, but that's where we need to see some improvement.
Well, I think the expectation part of it too is that it's come in the run game, right? Like if they would be giving up, passing plays, chunk plays over the middle, like through the air, I think like obviously people would still be upset. But I feel like since everybody knows that the running game is going to be run defense is going to be such a big part of beating Michigan potentially, and like seeing that come back to bite them in the ass twice now through 2 games, like I think that's why everyone is making a bigger deal out of it than it probably really is in reality.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, we need something to complain about. I mean, we just beat a team 63-7, gave up one play for a score, and we're still complaining about something. It's just the nature of it. But this week we'll see it. And I mean, I'm ready to move on to the Illinois game if you two are, but
yeah, let's do it. Let me get this tab up, give a little bit of background. Okay. All right. So it is 27th matchup between the two schools. Penn State's won 6 of the last 8. Of course, we don't need to go over what happened the last time these two teams played. I think I'm still having nightmares and suicidal thoughts about jumping off the bleachers at Beaver Stadium after that.
Move on
game. But matchup definitely has a lot less juice than it did, this time last week. Everyone was kind of expected it to be this big first test. And, what are we gonna get from this road matchup? Illinois
Josh Pate was going to come to this game.
Josh Pate was going to be there, and then Illinois goes out and gets smacked by Kansas, which Kansas I think is probably a top 25 team, but Illinois did not look good.
I don't know if they're a top 25 team, but Illinois made them look like a top 25 team. They just got manhandled.
Yeah, so I mean, Illinois has played Toledo and Kansas. I don't think either of those teams are atrocious teams. So I will say that they're definitely both games that Kansas. I'm not going to say they should win, but they should be competitive in that game, which they really weren't. Toledo, they should win. You should not be beating Toledo on a last-second field goal. That's for sure. So yeah, this game has lost a lot of luster. It was a game that a lot of people had their eye on. At preseason, Illinois was a team a lot of people thought might, be able to come back after half-decent season and pick up where they left off. It hasn't looked that way so far. So I guess, from Penn State, it puts us in this awkward situation where to lose this weekend now. I mean, if we come out and blow them out, it's just Illinois sucks. If we come out and they play us tight and they do look like the old Illinois, we're going to get torched for that too. So it did put us in a little tricky situation. Nothing we can do about it. We can only play the teams that are on our schedule.
Did you guys get to watch much like any highlights of that game by chance?
Kansas game? I watched it until it was out of hand.
Well, did you guys? I mean, fucking Illinois team that like Brett Bielema prides himself. What?
Did you just drop the F-bomb?
No.
Oh, I thought you were effing Illinois. Like,
no.
That's what I heard.
I was like, what? What's the shock? I didn't hear it.
No. Anyway, I was saying about Brett Bielema, for a Brett Bielema team that like prides itself on like O-line and D-line, they were getting manhandled on both sides of the line of scrimmage, and it's just like that's Kansas. I mean, Kansas probably has some decent skill guys, but they're getting blown off the ball.
The one thing that I am interested to see from when I watched that game on Friday night, Kansas was moving the ball down the field, but they were doing it spreading the ball out and being very dynamic. Like, they were moving Jaden Daniels out, right? It is Jaden Daniels, right? Kansas and LSU have the same quarterback name. It always confuses the hell out of me. But
I thought one's Jay Lynn.
It might be Jay. I don't know. They're moving him out. They're moving him out and getting chunk plays with his legs. They were throwing the ball down the field, and like that's not necessarily what I think is Aller's strength. Like, it's not like it's Trace McSorley back there. So I will be interested to see how that plays out. But in terms, like, their defense has not been good, which is not what you would expect from a Brett Bielema team. They are 99th in the country in passing defense, and they are 105th in the country in scoring defense. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
that ain't good.
no, I mean, and that's, when I was tackling this game, looking at it from our perspective, are you giving up 28 to Toledo, 34 to Kansas? There's no reason that we shouldn't be putting up 40 on this team. I mean, there's no reason that we should not be putting up 40 on this team. And then conversely, tells you where we're going with this, but our defense isn't giving up 40 points to Illinois. It's just, I don't see that happening either. So,
no. I think especially because they have been doing it through the air a lot, so far this season, which is not what you would think from Illinois. But
I think there's a reason though. I mean, I don't think Illinois wants to be putting the ball through the air as much as they are. But if you look at these two games and look at the the timeline of scoring here, they were behind in both games, which means you can't run the ball when you're behind late to Toledo and behind late to Kansas. You have no choice but to start throwing the ball.
Yep.
That goes back to their defense. I think part of their offensive struggles does go back to their defense, because when you're getting behind, especially that Kansas game. I mean, I didn't get to watch it. I was driving the RV up. Kyle was in the back giving me updates. When you're getting blown out by Kansas, you have no choice but to throw the ball and desert your run game.
That's one of the best parts of the weekend. I get to sit in the back part of the RV watching football, and Trent's just wheeling it on up there. But yeah, I mean, giving up over 260 passing yards and rushing yards to Kansas isn't good. And then conversely, only having 140 rushing yards, it's just not good for Illinois. And hopefully we aren't like stat rigging and are like, oh, we can do whatever we want against this team. Like, we need to keep the pedal down, step on their throats, get in, get out. Like, this should be a game we win handily.
You would think, but then you have the 11 o'clock start, our time, 11 o'clock local time, 12 o'clock East Coast time, like sleepy Saturday. It's a number 7 team coming in. Like, that part is what concerns me.
Yeah. You're looking ahead. You have whiteout coming up, top 25 matchup. And like Matt said, I mean, I do think the away game, being 11 o'clock start, it just away games in general, especially for, a new starter and Drew, it's just a very different vibe. You're not, your routines are a lot different than they would be for a home game. I know they stay in a hotel for a home game, but even that's different because, it's the same hotel you're staying in 7 times a year for a game, and you're just you're comfortable with it. Funny things can happen. We've seen that before, but I don't expect this one to be very close with what we've seen from Illinois and what we've seen from our offense to date.
Maybe they want to stay at the Airbnb. We should see if they want to just join us. We can get that rate down real low.
A lot of players. Yes.
But yeah, I mean, and we will probably talk about this over the next couple of weeks, but like that Iowa game doesn't really like scare me too much, and that's really the only thing that's in between now and
let's not look ahead. Let's stop. We can stop looking ahead.
I'm just saying.
I know where you're going at with it.
I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
Nah,
UMass doesn't get me that scared.
No, I think part of that is we've come out in the first 2 games and we've taken care of business. There's not many things to complain about. Even some of the good Penn State teams we had, there's a lot more. I want to say a lot more question marks still at this point in the season than we have right now. And I think we are getting nitpicky in some of the question marks that we do have. This game will be a good one. I mean, maybe the Illinois will show up that a lot of people expect. So we can't go into this game. If they play well and we play poor, they very well could beat us. This is not, a game where if you go in there and play poorly, you could still come out with a victory, even if they play well. There are matchups like that. I don't think this is one. We have to play well. And if we play well and they play well, we'll still beat them. If they play well and we play poorly, they can definitely beat us.
Yeah, I was going to ask you guys what parts of this Illinois team like do scare you? Do get like if Illinois can beat us, what do they have to do? Like, I'll propose that question.
I think they need to be able to not get behind, because as I was talking about before, I think a lot of it is they've had to get away from that run game because they've gotten behind in games early, and they just started throwing the ball. And I think that offensive line. I mean, we talked a little bit about how our defensive line this year has that West Virginia game, that West Virginia offensive line was good. This Illinois offensive line, I don't think it's anywhere near as good as that offensive line, but they're solid. And I do think, if they come out with a solid plan of attack to run the ball, and don't get behind too much too early, that you might be able to see them run the ball on us.
Yeah, well, and then I think too, it's staying in the game like that so they can run the ball. And then I think it's stopping our running game too. Like pretty much exactly what they did in 2021. Like make the offense one dimensional and then hope that Aller makes a mistake.
I was gonna say, but honestly, I don't think that's happening this year. Their secondary has been very exploitable. They have had a ton of explosive plays given up. This defense of Illinois has given up a lot of explosive plays in 2 weeks. If they were to focus on shutting down a run game, I do think we could still torch them through the air and not have to depend on a run game.
127th in the country in explosive plays given up on defense. So not good.
The only one guy that was maybe like a silver lining against Kansas, like their one good D tackle, like just Jerzan Newton had 6 tackles, 2 sacks. Like he's their solid D tackle on the team. So, I mean, but again, I think our O-line's been good enough that we should be able to limit him to anything crazy. So,
yeah, I mean, I think it is just if they're gonna beat us, it's gonna look a lot like 2021 did. Not the rain and the miserableness, but it's gonna be that same kind of game. But
yeah, and it may be that as Penn State fans, we have a false confidence because of our first 2 opponents going into this game, but I'm not worried about it. There was a time where I was maybe a little concerned. At this point, not at all.
I'm more worried about my flight than I am about the outcome. So, but I think that speaks more to the transportation industry today. Probably a good transition. Coco, what's the line on this game?
So I saw the Barstool Sportsbook before we started here. It's Penn State 14.5, and the over under is 48.5 right now. I think it opened up at Penn State like 15 or 16, I think I saw. And now it's 14.5. So what do you guys take on that? Are we doing any score predictions? I know Trent doesn't like it.
Go ahead.
I'll do mine. So I have Penn State winning 38-13. So that's 25. So yeah, I think they go over. And all right, I think they get the spread. And then what was the over you said, Coco?
48.5.
Yeah, they go over there too. Got to do the math on my phone, so I'm tired. It's been a long day. I'm not doing that math in my head.
I'm with Matt on this. I like us to cover, and I do like the over because I could see us giving up, some points to this team. But I'm confident in our offense against their defense. I really am.
Yeah, I picked 38-10, which also has us covering and also the over, so it's pretty chalk across the board there. I think we're gonna have our way with this team until I'm sweating in the fourth quarter and we're up 7.
That's just gonna be it's gonna be hot there, Coco.
It is gonna be hot. Interesting one here. Washington's playing at Michigan State. Washington is favored by 16.5, as I said. Michigan State stuff, not the prettiest situations there.
It's not
good. Not good.
I mean, I don't think they'll be upset about firing Mel Tucker for cause.
No, they just got a little lucky there. Pat Narduzzi to Michigan State.
Please, I'd love to crush Pat Narduzzi every year. and then let him cry about it some more.
Yeah, that would be fun. I would enjoy that. But this is going to be
Pat Narduzzi got a foot. How about you beat Cincinnati at home in front of your crowd of 10,000 people before you worry about leaving for another job?
Yeah, after he was bitching about Penn State. But anyway, Michigan State, Washington. I think this is going to be a bloodbath. Washington, honestly, is probably one of the most impressive teams so far this year. So it is. I don't remember what you said what the line was, but whatever it is, it's over.
Well, it's 16.5. So you're taking
taking give me Washington. Whatever it is, give me Washington.
Trent.
I don't know what to think. This is one of those weird ones where I feel like they're probably going to get blown out. But I also wouldn't be shocked if they just rallied together and came out and played.
Rally behind what? Like you're gonna rally behind your
coach? No, you rally
stuff?
behind each other. It's like, all right, you know what? You rally behind each other. It's like we can't control what's going on externally. We can't control what's going on with our coach. We can control they're bringing D'Antonio back on staff. That's something there.
So you're taking Michigan State?
No, I still can't. No. After all that, I still can't now.
Another clean sweep. I agree with Matt. I think it's just going to be a pick your number, and Washington's going to get it. It's just a bad situation out there. Ugly game here. Not that game wasn't ugly, but Virginia Tech at Rutgers, the over/under 39.5. Both teams not good.
I think the first question is: does Virginia Tech get their game in like under 3 hours this week? Like,
I don't know if I don't know if the last one finished.
Yeah, they might still be waiting to play that game, but that's an interesting game. Virginia Tech's got some non-conference opponents this year. What did you say it was again? Sorry, I didn't remember.
39.5.
Oh, you got to. Oh,
I like the under actually.
Under, give me under.
It's not a lot. It's not a lot, but I can see that being a slugfest.
Yeah.
I want Brent Pry to win real bad. I really want to see Brent Pry do well.
It's gonna take a while. Like they were not in a good place culturally. I don't think
it is, but
some time.
Kyle, do you have the spread on that game?
I should, but I don't right now.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll take the over. Rutgers, Northwestern made Rutgers look like a, high flying offense week 1. So why not? I have one more here, and then a Coco Sportsbook. Tennessee favored by 6.5 at Florida.
Oh, Tennessee.
Yeah, Florida. After ice, yeah. Now we don't know how we don't know how good Utah is. Florida got smoked by Utah,
and then Utah won on that end of that Utah game was crazy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We have no clue. So if Utah's a question mark now, you have to take. I don't like Florida at all.
The line of the Rutgers game is 6.5. Sorry.
Yeah, I think it opened at like 4.5 that I was seeing. So it's moving.
All right, last one here. Penn State over under 4.5 sacks against Illinois.
Under. They just haven't shown. They just haven't shown
under.
That they could do it.
Well, I only said that because Kansas had 6. That's why I only.
Yeah, I know, but I'm taking the under.
Under.
Let's
go
like,
over. Why not?
What was our sack total last week?
That's what I'm pulling up. Just give me a second.
I'm not the stats guy.
We had 4 sacks last week against Delaware. So, yeah, under.
Well, maybe Illinois has to pass the ball more. We get one more in there. We'll see.
Delaware was trying to pass the ball too.
And just real quick here, through 2 weeks, I just want to say this: Matt's 6-3, I'm 5-4, and Trent's in last place at 4-5. Just wanted to throw it out there real quick.
Not bad though.
As an aggregate, 15-12 is an aggregate. So
yes, that's not bad. Even one game under 500 in last place, not bad at all.
Yeah, well, we don't have Winnie's picks pulling us down anymore.
Yeah. Before we get into before we get into pick your plate, or I mean, last call, we just did pick your plate. Before we get into last call, I want to continue following this guess of our percent chance to make the playoffs. Kyle bumped yours up a little bit from last week.
What was I at 13?
You're at 13. I'm holding steady. So I started the year at 25. I'm staying at 25 again. I'm more confident in our offense, but that's sort of offset by being a little less confident in our defense. I'm sticking at 25%.
I said 20, right? I think that's what I said.
Yeah, I think you held.
I'm gonna go up to 25, and it's not necessarily even because of anything I've seen. It's just because like Michigan has not been very impressive so far. I don't think Ohio State has kind of been underwhelming too. Like, so I am bumping us up a little bit just for that reason alone.
The way the season's going, I'll probably get to where you guys are at before the Ohio State game, but right now I'm at 15%. I probably will get there by the time we roll to Ohio State because each one we get just a little bit more. So
those incremental gains. But all right. Last call. Who wants to go first?
Well, I just typed mine out right now because I didn't have one ready, but now I'm ready.
Okay, well then go.
Who is your MVP through 2 games so far for the team?
Can it be anybody but Drew Aller?
Drew Aller.
I was just say someone pick something different.
I mean, I think the only other argument you could potentially make is DeAndre Lambert-Smith, right? Like,
that was my next one.
That's probably the only other one that you.
I literally typed out Drew. I literally typed out Drew and Keandre.
Yeah, I think they're the only two that have separated themselves.
All right, then I'll follow up because I didn't have one. I was just gonna go with who's the most underrated player so far.
Ooh. I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go with, as a collective group, the tight ends. They haven't been flashy. They haven't gotten a ton of receptions out there, but man, they're both out in the field every play, just blowing people over off the ball. They're blocking. They've just been blocking machines. And as former lineman Kyle, we know that blocking never gets the glory. So I'm gonna go with the tight ends. They've been playing a key role with little to show for it.
I'll pick up that. I'll say the O line, but in pass blocking. I feel like Drew Lar again in West Virginia. There were some plays where he was under pressure, but maybe Drew held the ball a little too long. But I feel like overall, compared to other Penn State seasons where the ball gets snapped and there's 4 guys in the backfield a second later, I feel like this year's O line's been solid. Again, there's some cleanup work here and there, but I think overall the O line's been a good unit, especially Olu. I mean, Olu's just fantastic. The guy's just a tank. So.
Were you guys interested in the fact that Norzad was not named the starter on Saturday and then ended up being the starter anyway?
No.
Didn't even notice.
Well, that's because you weren't down with us.
That's too intricate of a detail for Kyle and I.
But we were talking about it, so.
Do you see Olu was done by halftime?
Yeah, I don't read too much into that.
I mean, I don't blame him. Snap count, get your big O line guy done by halftime. You don't need him.
I was also just trying to pull up some stats to answer my question because I don't know who I'm actually going to pick, but it's going to be slow for me. So hang on. I was trying to go back and forth between picking some of the wide receivers because, like, I feel like even though Keandre, okay, here it is. I mean, honestly, I think you could make the case that it's either Trey Wallace or Malik McClain. Like they've been quietly, not too bad.
I would probably say Trey, because Malik McClain came to my mind initially, but then I was thinking, I was like, I feel like he has gotten a lot of credit for his play, especially after that West Virginia game. He was talked about a lot, so he's played great. But I was leaning towards not underrated just because you haven't. I think he got his fair share of praise. Yeah.
I mean, and the reason why I was backing off of Trey was the fact that he had that drop in the West Virginia game, but like he has as many catches as Keandre Lambert-Smith right now. 10 catches, 98 yards, 9.8 per catch. I mean, Lambert-Smith has got average 20 yards per catch, so it's a little different. But yeah, let's go Trey. Let's go Trey.
Yeah. Mine's gonna be really quick. This was my last call question actually before Matt brought it up in the pod already. But who's going to see the field first? I'm not even going to use the term start, but who's going to see the field first out of our 2 running backs?
I'll say Nick Singleton.
Yeah, I was gonna say Singleton. They did that last year too, where they kind of did like the alternating back and forth. So I think it's gonna be Singleton.
Yeah, I'll be interesting to see. I do think Singleton, but I don't know. I also would have thought Singleton would have took the field first against Delaware too. So, guess time will tell.
It's gonna be alternating. I think they're gonna do that this year. They kind of did it last year at the end, so it doesn't mean anything anyway.
Yeah, that's why I said I didn't use the term start because I think that's too strong of a term. It's just who's stepping first on the field. What they really should do is just bring in a 2-back set the first play of every game.
Yeah,
go starters.
They announced Tyler Warren as the starting tight end, and then Theo Johnson's in the game to start. Like it means nothing. But
it's a good problem to have. Depth.
Between now and game time, it's Trent's homework to find us a Chicago deep dish restaurant to go to, so we can get some good pizza before the game.
We're going to Champaign. You gotta get Champaign.
Well, we're flying to Chicago, then we got a 2-hour drive down to Champaign.
You gotta stop for pizza on the way.
That's what plans on Thursday.
Yeah, we're gonna spend the day in Chicago Thursday. I don't think we need 2 full days in Champaign.
You guys have fun. I'm doing it quicker, so I'm gonna spend a whole however long it takes me to get out of O'Hare in Chicago.
It's just nice that Matt's making it. We're not used to seeing Matt on these road trips, Kyle. It's been a while.
Yeah. If we lose because Matt goes to the game, Trent, we don't have a good run so far. Games you and I go together.
Yeah, man. I'm just thinking of the last season. Those away games we had were pretty spectacular.
What was the last away game we went to that we lost? Was it the bowl game against Kentucky?
Yeah, probably.
That's not a road game. But
non-home game.
And see, Matt went to that game.
I'm surprised we haven't brought up the granddaddy of them all yet. I'm surprised Kyle's kept that in his back pocket.
All right, until next week. next time, we will have plenty of insights from Champaign. Follow us on social media.
Champaign, Pasadena.
Get some more. It is the Champagne of the Midwest, or the get some more great pictures like Trent took of the stadium on Saturday night with that beautiful sunset. PSU Tailgate Talk. We are Tailgate Talk. We're not talking about the Rose Bowl. See you guys later. All right, bye.